Sean? Sean Duncan?
Yes, I'm here.
Uh,
Can you hear
I
me?
may, yeah, I hear you.
Good.
I'll just let you know that I'll probably push you back to attendee until your item comes up on the agenda
Okay.
because it gets too busy on the screen. So just wanted to let you
N-
know that.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
There we go.
Hey, Susan, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Okay, getting things started. And you guys are all
Okay.
ready to go,
Oh, I had my
maybe?
shot yesterday and I haven't slept, so not peak,
Okay,
but
all right. Bum, 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 bum.
Good evening, Bob.
Good
Hope you're
evening.
doing well.
I'm doing just fine. Loving all the snow.
I'm ready for a sunny day or two, though.
This
Then it
weekend,
can go snow again, but
yep. We need the moisture, and this is a good snowfall for moisture, so.
yes, it is. Hey, Libby. I just I'm going to push you back to attendee until your item comes up on the agenda. Just so there's fewer boxes and it makes it easier for everybody to follow. So
That sounds great. No problem.
so you can't do it from here.
Lighting's not good.
I need that.
This is better.
I need this. We need those two just for our notes.
Right, oh, yeah, right. Oh.
That's good.
And Kathy, just let you know that I'm going to push you back to attendee until the library item comes up. Okay.
Oops, there's the agenda. Where is that?
Yeah.
There's Libby.
I'm gonna open this up.
Oh, what happened to our bed?
Hello, everybody. Is everybody here? Susan, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Everybody got your speakers on then?
Yep.
Okay. So let's call the meeting to order, please. Would you take the roll?
Joan Eaton,
Here.
Sean Platt,
Here.
Cindy Neely,
Here.
Betsy Blakesley.
She's
Reynolds?
homesick.
She's sick.
Yes.
Mark Reynolds. I see you. Bob Hamilton,
Here?
Fred Ganzer.
Here.
Hey, and can we get approval of the agenda? I know, Cindy, did you want to have a little discussion about concrete?
I think it will come up anyway.
Yeah, okay, we'll just touch on that. All right.
But I think we should put in a remind for, we received a notice from Jen about the section 106 meeting, May 4th.
Yeah, oh, yes, okay.
webinar.
May the 4th. Okay. And I just had one very quick thing. It's just an okay from you, so. Can we have approval of the minutes with these additions?
Agenda technically, but
Agenda.
Oh,
Approval
what
of
I
the
said.
agenda? Yes,
Oh, yeah,
We accept the minutes with the additions so noted.
the agenda.
and do I hear a second?
A second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. Audience business. Kent, is there none? Gotcha. All right, so old and new business. We have Jessica Shoney, 1600 Main Street, and we are looking at your fence.
Yes.
So, hi.
Hi, how are you?
If you'll state your names and address for us, please.
Jessica Schoening, and this is Christy Caput, 1600 Main Street, Georgetown, Colorado.
Okay. And we have new pictures of your fence.
Yes.
Mark, did you want to ask questions about that or go over what you've got? No? Anybody else?
I think maybe we need a general update about what has happened from,
Okay, so we did get some pictures. So if you want to describe for us the changes on the fence.
So after the last meeting, we lowered the fence to 6 feet from the level at which the fence is at. So some of it's on a retaining wall, so it's obviously higher than 6 feet.
From the ground level, but 6 feet from the retaining walls in the backyard, and that meets the level of the pre-existing fence from the neighbors.
Yes.
Okay. And so that fence across the front that we see from the street is 6 feet.
It's 6
That's
feet.
correct.
Okay.
did we determine that that fence that is across the front is actually behind the or equal to or behind the facade of the house?
Yes.
Yes,
actually,
it starts at least a couple inches behind.
Yeah, so it is not a front property fence. It is,
Correct, it's technically a side yard fence.
it's technically a side yard fence, yes. And was there some discussion about, I'm trying to remember all this. Was there some discussion about changing the appearance of that particular portion of fence?
No, there hasn't been any discussion about changing the appearance, just the height.
Is that the way everybody recalls it?
Well, I think the height was the first issue, and if we mentioned the materials, I know we did discuss it as far as no spacing between the boards and the horizontal appearance of it rather than vertical.
Just on that front, I keep calling it front, but just on
The
that.
facing the street part, yeah.
Just
Yeah,
on the Main Street portion.
yeah.
That's what I remember also.
And, you know, they do have large dogs, and we discussed that, and the issue with the neighbor's fence is actually, you know, backing up to theirs, so they're just concealing kind of the neighbor's fencing as well.
Now, the only thing I'm referring to is that piece.
The visible piece.
Yes, the visible piece, because the rest of it now just corresponds with everything that's around them.
Yeah.
But it was my recollection, and Sean, you know, I think you just said it was yours, that we talked about the direction of the boards and whether we could get a little bit, change them from horizontal to vertical and get a little bit of space in there. Not much. I mean, you know, you're talking about inches. So that's what I recall. And I just wondered what the members of the commission recalled that also.
I do.
I don't think we addressed it fully. We mentioned it, but we didn't really go into a discussion on it.
Mark, Bob?
I don't remember much discussion other than the height.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing I remember from the last meeting was the height, but I don't know if there was discussion outside of our meeting.
The openness or lack of openness was mentioned for the front, or I remember that.
Yeah. Well, I have two sides of that. I know from the point of view of what it looks like, you know, the visible piece from the front, it's not typically what we like to have. And I also understand with dogs that are pretty high energy and excitable, when they can stand and look out a fence and see, you know, what's going on, it's going to make a lot more excitement for them and possible, I don't know, digging or whatever, if they're prone to it. I was wondering if they,
Yes, this.
wondering if there was
So
a
we
way
have
to actually
two large. Sorry,
Yes,
I
yes.
didn't mean to overtalk. Go ahead and finish, John.
No, but that's okay. So this one where you can see, well, you can say we can see the hose. It's page 1 of 1. And they're all 1 of 1. Okay. I think this is the one that you see from the street that's got sort of a sidewalk in front of it going into it. Looks like there might be a gate.
Mm-hmm.
The pictures I have from the application are taken from the inside.
Okay, but this would be the one that's sort of the front facing piece. It's the inside of it. Possibly. Can anybody tell? So there's a hose that comes out and it's like a sidewalk. It looks like it's got plastic over it or something maybe.
That is definitely, I think, from the inside of our fence. I don't think that's from the outside. We don't have a walkway into that. What we have are 3 aspen trees out in front of it that have been kind of skirted with some rocks.
Well, I did drive by, and I guess my question would be if for more of the safety and you know, keeping the dogs contained, would anybody approve if they actually put a fence in front of it that had spaces so that you don't see this particular piece? And I'm wondering if you had lumber left over from lowering the fence is why I would suggest that, not that you have to buy more fence. Would it be possible to put horizontal
Just to catch
slats?
Up, because I haven't been able to catch a lot of the meetings. I've usually been otherwise on call or at work. So what is the concern with the horizontal slats?
Well, that is the style that we approve typically on.
The vertical is what we approve typically.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. Brain damage tonight. So the horizontal slats is just not a style that we have approved for fencing in town.
Mhm.
A little more modern look and just not typical of what the feel of what would be here normally. So it's preferable to us to have the vertical slats. The other issue would be because of high winds and having a great big flat surface out there, and the winds are high if you haven't noticed yet. It's better to have a little bit of spacing so that your fence doesn't just blow down.
Right.
So-
So we've had this fence up now for 9 months, and there hasn't been an issue with the wind at all. And so I'd hate to go back and spend another 50 grand on the landscaping that we hired a local contractor, Brad, who helped build the Cabin Creek Brewery, and undo all the work. I do believe that it really adds to the city, and there are a lot of dilapidated fences in the area that need some upkeep. And I do think that our house and our work that we've done there have added rather than subtracted from the beauty of the town. The town's beautiful. I think that our house is magnificent. Our fence is magnificent. And I think we add to the enchantment of Georgetown rather than subtract.
I think we have to start just paying
argument with-
attention to the guide, not to
that.
speak you, but we have to pay attention to the guidelines. And your contractor didn't follow the guidelines from the get-go. He didn't even come in to look at them. So that is not our responsibility. That's the homeowner's responsibility.
Right.
And the
We unfortunately understand that now, but with, all intents and purposes, we hired somebody local thinking that, one, it brings revenue to the town, but two, that person also knows the town, lives there, and can guide us through that.
Well, let's get back to the fact. The fact is that front part, that's the part we're discussing facing the road, doesn't meet our guidelines at all. We're basically kind of letting you slide on the rest of it, the back side and so forth. But in my opinion, I think we have to do something with the front section to meet our guidelines. And I'd like to hear from the rest of the crew, see what they think about it.
I look back at the meeting minutes from October 8th, and it does mention that we had talked about a 4-foot front facing fence in that meeting on October 8th, if you look at the minutes from it.
Hold on. Well, we did talk about it, but then all agreed that it was not a front facing fence. We
Well-
agreed at the end of that everything needed to be 6 feet.
That it wasn't a front yard fence.
Front yard
It's technically
fence.
a
If it's-
side yard fence because it starts behind the facade.
If
of
it's
the
set
front of
back
the
from
house.
the facade, then correct.
Yeah, we're over that part. So we're going with a 6-foot fence. Did
It's the
anybody
solid
understand?
look. It's a solid look that we're concerned about, right, Joan?
Yes.
Solid in the
Yes.
fact that it's horizontal, Mark.
Yes.
Because you could, you could take virtually the same kind of boards and you can keep them, really quiet. When we talk about the space, we're not talking about them being big inches apart. They can be fairly close together. I don't agree that it's going to be a dog problem. If we're allowing them to be, 6 feet, I think that we should stick with the vertical nature of fences that are highly visible from the street. And that's basically what we have been consistent on.
And we've always said that the slats could be 3/4 to an inch in a gap, as long as you had a gap in between them. So it didn't look like a solid fence across the front. Am I correct in saying that?
I believe so. But the gap's not big.
Okay, well,
Are we mixing front yard and side yard?
No, we're just talking about, again, we're calling that piece that is technically the side fence, but it faces the street. So from the house over to the side of the edge of the yard, we're talking about that one piece. And it's 6 feet now, but it is horizontal. And my question earlier, I guess, was, do you have lumber left over from lowering all the other pieces, all the rest of the fence?
I'm not
don't know.
sure because Brad came and fixed things. This is our second home. We don't live there.
Okay, because
I can't imagine it would be, I can't imagine it would be enough to completely reface that part of the fence.
Use the material that's in that part of the fence.
Yeah, basically they just need
Well,
to.
it may not be 6 feet tall when you turn it sideways.
No, it may not.
It looks like the posts are about 4 feet apart, looking at the back of the fence.
So we have 2 100-pound Huskitas, so Husky Akita mix. And I worry about gaps in them barking.
I think that's not our problem. Our problem is the design.
Yeah.
And that's what we're
There
doing.
is a fence though that's right when you come into town that does not have gaps either. That's 6 foot and it's on the main street. I mean, I walked past it last time I was there and I noticed it because of that. There are other fences in town that don't have 3/4 to 1 inch gaps.
I'm sure that is the case, and some of them are quite old. You know, repeating and repeating something that is not in the guidelines, you know, just because somebody else has one does not help us. You know.
Well, since you're newer to town, the fact is that the guidelines haven't been here since the town started. The guidelines have been here since it became a historic district, and there is stuff here that does not fit the guidelines.
You froze.
And we can't do a lot about that. And so what we try to do going forward to keep things in a continuous manner of fitting in, you know, with everything else is to go with the guidelines. Does anybody think it's just not appropriate to put a horizontal fence in front of this one?
You mean the vertical fence, Joan?
Somebody else needs to take over. I'm not doing it, guys. Yes. So if they put a vertical fence in front of this one, just an inch or two, so that, you know, you see that instead of the fence that's there. Is that an objection?
I think that's
just taking and overlaying vertical boards on top of the horizontal boards.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it still doesn't help the gap problem, but you know, if your fence blows down, you're going to have to put it back up. I guess that's the deal. But since we're going with the rest, and it would look better on the inside just to have that piece match the rest. I just wonder if a front piece on the front of it. Yes. Can't.
I can share my screen as far as either the guidelines or the picture of the front fence, if that would help the discussion.
I would love to see the guidelines because I don't have those. I was just about to ask for that, Kent. So thank you.
Would that be okay, Joe?
Oh yeah, sure. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, if you had originally come in and proposed this fence, you wouldn't have it now because that's not done. So just so you know, and the fact that it's been there for 9 months doesn't make any of us any happier. And
well,
I know
you know, look, we're
not
not trying to ruffle feathers. We didn't come into town to make everybody
we understand.
upset.
We understand.
We're from the South. We treat our neighbors with respect, and it's not like we came in trying to change the town. We literally didn't know that this was going to be a problem. And if we could go back and change things and do them different, then obviously we would.
Yes,
but unfortunately, we've spent $50,000 in landscaping, and so you know it's hard for us to swallow that you want us to rip down the fence and start over when we also just think it's beautiful and it adds to the town.
Well, we're still, again, only talking about the one part of the fence, not the entire fence. So this is a small section of your whole fence. And this is what fits in with so that the next people that buy a house in here and say, well, they have one of these. And again, we have to, you know, say, and it's not in the guidelines. Yours is new. The ones that exist now are ones that came before there were guidelines. So are you reading?
Yes. So we're looking at.
And I want to make sure, Joan, that I'm on the right page. I'm on book 3, page 81. For fences for all the districts.
Yes.
Further down.
Okay, so it says that we can have concrete block.
No. Concrete,
chain-
block,
chain link.
fiberglass, plywood, slatted snows, mesh constructions are in.
Oh, are inappropriate. Sorry, I just started reading that. I didn't get to the end
Yeah.
sentence. Okay. So chain
So-
link concrete. Okay. So the chain link fence that's behind us that is encompassing that junkyard, that was there before these guidelines were there.
Oh,
The
yeah.
junkyard's been there before any of the houses were there.
Yeah, that's
It's unfortunate because that was part of the reason that we had to build the fence so high is right to
Yeah.
block the junkyard so that all we had to see was the mountains.
The
So if you
junkyard
look at-
comes from the 50s.
Yeah, if you look at
Got
section
it.
A, where it says a fence should be simple in character, and 1, the fence should be transparent, and that just is again what we're talking about, where there are very minuscule gaps. There's tiny little gaps between each board, so that how as you drive by you can kind of see but not really see in. So it doesn't have to be totally visible. And this is the gaps we're talking about. We are not worried about number 2, which is the height, and then.
But that is the general height. The height of a fence is 4 feet in general.
Well, in a front yard.
Well, yeah.
Okay. But everything else, including the materials, which they tell you what is and is not applicable. So I know, understanding that you didn't know, but yet this is the problem. I'm just trying to find us a solution here. And again, we're talking about the one piece of fence
That's in
front, or the front, the street.
Joan,
Yes.
I think that these gals may need a little time to absorb this and think about what from their end of it they can do. I think they know where the commission is coming from, and I think that we're asking.
What if we put trees in front of the fence? What if we plant, like a bunch of greenery in front of the fence so that you can't see it?
I think that something still probably has to happen to the fence itself, but I'm not sure that, I mean, I think this is somewhat of a stressful moment, and that this may not be in other words, I think that maybe you should have some time to take a look at that piece of fence and say, all right, what could we do just straight across here that might make it work? Rather than trying to, in this moment, which is.
No, I would like to be done with it in this moment, whatever it is. I'm so tired of the stress of dealing with it.
Okay, no, I.
I don't want to have to.
We are
handle it
sorry.
again.
Sense too.
Yeah, we're sorry about that. As far as other options, does anybody have anything else? And I have one thought, but if anybody else has any ideas, speak up.
Well, I'm gonna ask Kent, do you have a picture there of the fence from the street view?
Yes, I do. And I'll try to,
Put
it's
that.
not giving me as one of the possibilities to share. That's why it's,
Oh,
I saw it too, but I didn't download it.
there we go.
Oh, okay.
Now it can go. How's that?
We haven't seen it. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
There it is. Okay.
So it's just that section that you're talking about, basically what's in this photo.
Right.
Mhm.
Those
one,
4
two,
panels, 3 panels. that-
5 in the gate.
Bob, do you think those are 4 feet panels?
Oh, I don't think they're any more than that.
Okay.
Yeah, I imagine those boards aren't very tall.
I'm going to make just a suggestion and throw it out, and you guys can say no or whatever.
I'd love to hear it. I mean, we're open.
Well, and
to
I'm just kind of talking to the board, but you guys too. So I don't know that the board's going to go for this either, but I'm thinking if those boards are all 4 feet, so they can't just turn them vertically, which is up and down, and get a 6-foot fence out of them. If they could keep the bottom 2 feet of the fence horizontal. And at that point, then all the other boards go vertically across the top. So basically you had a little base at the bottom that was horizontal and solid, but the top would be the little more transparent, and then they can reuse what's there.
Yeah, actually, yeah, come up halfway.
Not even half. So it's 2 feet up.
It'd be
So
a
that
third.
so if their boards are 4 feet, then they can use them vertically, but they're not tall enough. So they need 2 feet at the bottom that the fence stays just like it is for 2 feet up. And then the rest of the boards are turned vertically up and down across there.
It would help give the whole thing a more
Yeah.
vertical appearance. Yes, it would work.
Yep.
Because the bottom 2 feet's the least visible part.
Right. And especially if you were going to plant any kind of little shrubs or something, I mean, you don't have to, but that stuff will accumulate there. So that'll give the whole fence a much more vertical look, and you have the material all there.
I think that will look terrible. I mean, what about taking like a lattice at the top and bringing it down and having 2 feet of lattice at the top? It's just that you guys hate the horizontal. That's the deal.
I
It's
hate
just,
We don't hate the horizontal. It just does not suit the style of
I mean, can we paint it? Can we paint it a color? Can we paint it the same color as our porch where it's like black?
I would think that the idea you just said about putting some lattice up. I also wonder, each of those sections of fence, if it was trimmed on the front, it's trimmed on the back with a vertical post because that's what those boards attached to. If you even trim it on the front and you have a couple of feet of lattice instead of the top couple of boards, if the top of it is 2 feet of lattice, it adds it doesn't look like somebody's trying to solid wall it. It adds to a visual interest in the front of the house.
Okay. What if, what if we painted it the same color as the house? Like the white?
I think that's actually a little more intrusive than the wood. The wood's
Yeah.
going to age
Okay.
nice, and it looks prettier as it is. So
Okay.
so you're suggesting how much lattice at the top, Cindy?
If I might add, if you look on page 52 in book 2, which is the historical book, there's a picture on that page that shows a solid wood plank fence with a transparent top, which is the lattice at the top. It looks like it's maybe, I don't know, a foot to 18 inches high. And that was my thought, that you could make that front fence or the side yard fence into that kind of a fence where keep the horizontal for most of the fence, add the lattice piece at the top that gives you the transparency that we've been talking about. And that
Okay.
fence is found around
If you
town.
rip that piece of lattice in half, they come in 4x8 sheets. If you rip it in half, they'll give you a 2-foot section. So just add 2 foot.
Okay. And could we use like a metal grade lattice? Like instead of like these kind where it's diamonds, could we just use like a metal grade square to where it was kind of dark and less visible?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can be square lattice.
Right. Instead of wood lattice, like a wire, not like a chicken wire, but like a thick kind of metal piece.
Yeah, if it's not shiny, if it's painted or dark.
Right. And like if it's
wanna
painted
see
the
a sample of it.
slate color, like the slate color that's on our porch. That darker color.
Yeah.
Yes. Then it integrates with the house too.
Page 52.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't look like chain link.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, look, we want it to look beautiful, not crappy.
So
Is that what you're referring to, Bob?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
How do you feel about that?
Let me take a picture of it.
What page is that on? Who's showing that? Is that Kent?
Yeah, it's book 2, page 52.
I
And
think
if you-
that's quite reasonable. If we can keep the horizontal slots and make the top 2 feet like more see-through like that, I think that that's a pretty good compromise.
And,
Yeah, I
and-
think
yeah,
it's
and
protection for the dogs, and it gives the transparency, and it it fits with other places in town.
Cuts down on
Yeah.
the dominance of the wall look.
Okay, all right, I like that idea.
Okay, are we set on this?
yes,
Okay, so can I have a motion, please?
or I would move that we approve the fence for, well, we've got Jessica's name on here. Jessica Shoney.
Yeah, that's fine. Jessica Schoening.
At what's the address? Because we've got your address in Austin, but
1600 Georgetown, or sorry,
Main Street.
1600 Main Street.
1600 Main Street for a fence, a privacy dog fence in the side and backyard with the section facing Main Street to be 4 feet solid and 2 feet lattice. Very,
And the gate should match too, right?
yes, and the gate would have the lattice on it also.
Right, right.
I mean, the lattice will go all the way across, gate and all. That's my motion, that we approve that fence.
Okay,
I'll second that. Mark?
all right, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hey, thank you guys so
Alright.
much. We really
Thank
appreciate
you,
it.
thank you, guys. We do really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, Mark.
All right, bye-bye, y'all. Y'all.
Bye-bye.
Hopefully-
Mark, cue up the next one for me and I'll finish this up real quick.
Second one would be James Cook, 1551 Main Street. James, are you here?
There's James.
We are.
Hello, James.
Hi there. Look, Kristen as well. We're both here.
Back again.
Welcome.
Hi.
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 Okay, we went before us and described your project. Why don't you give us a quick overview one last time?
Yeah, so we
Can you make it bigger?
came before the committee, I don't know, a month ago, and with the plans for a proposed deck, which you all approved. We're now going through the safe build process to make sure that it meets with local code. So that's process underway. Now we want to make an addition alongside the edge of the property to build a 2 foot tall retaining wall just on one side where the existing sort of mound is that runs parallel with the fence.
Okay.
And we propose to build the retaining wall out of those Home Depot timbers, which
We changed.
no, just
Oh, the Home Depot.
yeah, the Home Depot timbers, those 8 by 8 by, I think 8, maybe 6 by 6 by 8.
6 by 6, brother.
Yeah, it's for a total length of 36 feet and 2 feet tall. Now, the proposed retaining wall doesn't come up any higher than the existing mound. We just want to kind of make it kind of flat on top,
We're
I suppose.
just going to fill in the mound with some soil and then have the wall so it's a bit kind of flat and then straight, as opposed to sloping into the property with all the kids walking across it like it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Understood.
I submitted a photo of that mound. I think I drew sort of a black line where the retaining wall would go. So that's it really.
Okay.
The email that we have said that it was a 2 foot high wall, but you're talking about a 3 foot high wall.
No, 2 foot.
Okay.
Sorry, if I misspoke, I'm sorry. It is 2 feet.
Or it's our dodgy accent.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Cindy.
I would go to page 81, the same page we've just been on. Which, talk about horizontal and vertical. Section 2, fences, walls, and gates. Item C, retaining walls would appear similar to those used traditionally. C2, log and railroad ties may be used if the if the horizontal method of construction is utilized. Their
Okay.
appropriateness determined on a case-by-case basis. While this is not a railroad tie, it serves that same.
Yeah.
We
Look,
wanted it to look like one without being creosote.
Yes,
So,
exactly,
all of our neighbors down Main Street have those kind of old railway ties. And so we just kind of found the same ones that look the same without the arsenic.
Without the creosote, yes. So,
A lot of those around town are from the old railroad, so.
Yeah.
Okay, and actually, just to let everybody know, Jen had asked me about this because he called to see if he needed to come into us. And I did speak with him.
Yeah.
Told him that we just have to review these case by case, but it is something that we do. So we just wanted to look at it. And so he was kind enough to come back.
Thanks, Jen. Yeah. and the retaining wall is kind of the other side of the mound. So you won't even see it from the road. So if that would be a potential issue.
I would make a motion to accept the application for 1551 Main Street based on the sightings presented.
Thank you.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? I was an aye, Susan. Okay, thanks for coming in.
Thanks, guys.
Well, that was an easy one for you.
Thank you.
Good
Well,
night.
the previous one was fun to watch.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
I can't walk and chew gum tonight.
there are nights like that.
Okay, got that. And next, preliminary review for Georgetown Library Association.
Kent, are there any other board members? Is Richard Woods? Maybe you could let him in. I'm not for sure if Paul Boat or John Jennings are available either.
Just Richard Woods is the only other one. So.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, somebody want to take the lead and tell us about your project, please? Introduce yourself for the record.
We can't hear you. You're muted.
I heard him.
Here we go. Here we go. We're good
We'll
now.
start over.
Okay.
I'm Tim Hain with Hain Architects. Our address is Post Office Box 3250, Evergreen, Colorado.
And I'm Chris Hain with Hain Architects.
Same address.
And we are here today to provide you with a preliminary design review of an addition to the John Tomei Memorial Library. We've been working on this project, or we started working on it about 2 years ago. And for a number of reasons, including COVID, the project was put on hold until just recently. So we're excited to be involved again with the library. And we've presented you with the drawings that we've developed so far. So hopefully someone can share the drawings with you.
Well, see, while we're waiting, Kent usually shares, if we're going to share drawings, it's Kent who shares. On the application, it indicates that the library is not a contributing structure. That it is true that it is not contributing to the historic period that has been assigned to our landmark district. However, if you check your list of contributing and non-contributing structures in your book, you will notice that it is an NRE, which means that it in and of its own right is a National Register eligible building. And that was determined in the survey of 2014. Just because it doesn't contribute to the to the mining district period per se, it does not mean that it is not a National Register structure. And should be treated as we would treat a historic structure.
We agree totally.
Yeah, absolutely.
We think it's an important building in town.
No,
Yeah, but it's
absolutely.
just, you know, when the application has to strike, is it contributing, and you have to put an X there, it seems, but that it's not contributing, it seems like it should be explained that, well, that's only true because of how the list is set up.
Okay.
Thank
we're
you for that
s-
clarification.
Yeah, we're still following the guidelines, so.
Okay. So, oh, good.
Okay.
So you want to just walk them through?
Yeah, we'll just walk you through the floor plan. Obviously, the existing building is called out in the center of the site, and the existing addition from 1992, I believe, is shown going out to the west. And then we're proposing additions in 3 locations. The addition in the front is a new book sale room, and that's located there so that the rest of the library could be closed off when it's closed. There's a separate entrance into that new addition so that the book sale room can be accessed by people who want to get into that room. Yeah, right. Then the addition in the back houses new restrooms and kitchenette, and on the first floor is the lower level. I can't remember. Is it the lower level that has the conference room?
Yeah.
One of those floors has a conference room.
That's the lower level.
Yeah, the lower level.
Which they'll see.
Right. There's an existing solarium that we plan to keep, and then we're showing a new elevator addition to the east of the existing solarium. And also there's some existing photovoltaic arrays on the roof of the addition, which are going to have to be reconfigured because we're proposing a gabled roof running north-south along the back side of the new addition. Also over on the right side of the existing library, we're showing a new stairway that comes up out of the lower level, and that provides emergency egress for the lower level. And that would turn the corner, come past the existing pavilion, then out to the street. Also, we're proposing the existing plaza right now is at grade, and we're proposing that the new plaza be raised up to essentially the level of the main floor of the library, so that we'll have one set of steps off the street coming up. It's about a three foot rise, and then a new accessible ramp off on the west side to bring people up. And what this allows us to do is have one set of steps and one accessible ramp that provides access to 3 separate entrances into the building. One into the existing building at the main front, the existing front door. Yeah, the front door, and then one at the book sale room, and then another off. It doesn't show up here, but it's on that north-facing wall of the existing addition for incidental ingress and egress to that space. So we're getting the ramp is actually serving 3 separate entrances.
So is the old ramp going away?
The old ramp's being removed completely.
Okay.
And then the existing ramp right now is all brick masonry, and we're proposing that we, instead of having a brick wall in the front, we have basically a steel guardrail, which is required by code, that's very open, that allows views of the existing building through that guardrail from the street.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you're seeing there. That 40 feet 4-inch dimension is that area where you'd have that open guardrail.
And that whole brick wall would be gone?
The whole brick, we're removing all the brick wall. There's a new brick wall below it. Yeah, on the elevation, you can see there's a new brick wall that's going to form the base for the new plaza. So over on the west side, we've got the ramp going up, and over on the east side in front of the building, it's basically it creates a podium for the existing building.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Tim, that new brick, the reason that brick wall was put out in front to begin with, as you know, the addition that you're adding to was designed by Gary and Kathy.
Yes.
And the reason that brick wall is that in our commercial district, virtually everything touches the sidewalk. Everything is brought to the street edge. Will there be something on the street edge? Or does this back this whole thing away from the street edge?
That's right. Well, we'll go back to
Yeah, if you go back to the site plan, that 3-foot tall brick wall it's recessed back from, actually the first, well, that shows it right there.
So no, it is not on the edge of the sidewalk.
Well, we'd probably be expanding the width of the sidewalk so that it comes all the way to the face of that wall. We were instructed not to put a planter along that area.
Right, it's just a maintenance issue.
Yeah.
But we were aligning to that new brick wall with the existing entry into that. You can see that those walls that are angled in, those are existing walls over on the east side of the existing library. So we're just aligning the new wall with those existing ones.
And Cindy, actually that new wall that forms the base, for the podium, that's in the very same location as the existing north wall of the existing ramp. So and in fact, it's going to be lower than the existing wall. We're actually improving the view we're improving the connectivity of the existing building to the street by reconfiguring it this way. We don't have any photographs to show you, but
I'll come back to that. Keep going.
Okay. Well, that's essentially
Let's move on to the next one.
Yeah, right. We can go. Let's go look at just looking at the lower level next.
Or even the main level.
Oh, the main level. Yeah, here's the main level. Sure.
Yeah, you can see we are retaining the existing library, the historic library. The only change we're making to the interior, you'll see there's a note. It says remove existing walls. That is where there's an existing restroom. And so we are proposing to remove that room and expand that DVD periodical room. And then we will have accessible restrooms in the addition, both on the main level and the lower level. So you can see those on this main level floor plan, kind of down at the south end. And also you can see the conference room that's being provided. Also of note is the book sale room. There's always been an issue, as we understand it, with the book sale room being in the lower level, because oftentimes people want to access the book sale room when the library is not open. And also the book sale room in the lower level is not accessible to people who are in wheelchairs. And so we felt that putting the book sale room in the location that you see on the main level is really, helps with access. That room can be open when the library is closed. People sitting on the plaza, if they want to go in and buy a book, it might promote some more book sales. So anyway, that was our thinking.
And we're still maintaining a plaza that could be used by the general public.
And also, we're showing a new elevator. That's an electric traction elevator. Excuse me. The existing elevator, it's just small. Apparently, the library staff has to help people get into that library who are in wheelchairs. It's not large enough for library carts. And so we are showing a new elevator, and it's in a more central location. We're putting it in the back of the building, in the back of the 92 edition, because we don't want it to be a prominent feature. And then also we're showing a new stairway over at the west end. That stairway will be made accessible. You can see that we actually have a 30 by 48 wheelchair space outside. That's just a space where people can stay until, the fire department comes or whoever needs to rescue them. So going down to the lower level,
And the stair is quite a bit larger than the current stair. It's about 4 feet wide to meet current code requirements
for an accessible stairway.
for an accessible stair. So the new layout is we have egress stairs at both the far west end and the far east end of the building. So in case of a fire, you can go either direction to get outside the building without having to go through intervening rooms.
Right, which is not allowed by code typically.
Right.
Also, you can see, where the existing book sale room is, down in the lower level. Actually over on the right side, Kent, you can see where we've created a new staff lounge and office. And so we're just creating some new space for the library staff. And then down at the west end where Kent was earlier, that's going to be some more storage space for the book sale people and the library.
Also, there's an existing stair right now that goes down into the solarium that wraps around the south and east corner of the solarium. And in order to fit the elevator in, we're having to remove that stair. So, yes, right.
Yeah,
it's
that's right,
there.
Kent.
So that exterior stairway is going away.
But we are adding access to the solarium from inside. You can see the door with access to the solarium on the lower level. And I think we have a door on the upper level. Yeah. Oh,
Well,
no, we
it's a
just
window.
have, yeah, we
Yeah.
just have a window.
Yes.
So, okay, moving on.
Yeah.
So now we're showing you the proposed elevations.
And what we were trying to do is maintain the same scale as one of the wings of the original building. So we basically made the building, we're showing a 19 feet 8 inches in width. And that's approximately the same width as one of the west wing of the existing building off the center pavilion. And we're matching the same roof pitch.
Yeah, in fact, we're showing a side gabled roof on the addition, which matches the side gabled roof on the library. We also think it's a good idea. It just really kind of helps reduce the apparent height of that addition with the side gabled roof because the roof is sloping up away from you. If it had a front gabled roof, the height would be more, more
Massive.
Yeah, it would seem more massive.
And the windows in the new addition are shown as small windows that are placed high on the wall so that there's room below them to put bookshelves.
I understand that part, but if we look at our guidelines for the additions, what they ask is that the window spaces reflect that of the original structure.
Yeah, and we are showing kind of the same size for the hyphen. We're kind of calling Kathy and Gary's 1992 edition. It's more like a connector now. But we're just explaining why we had the smaller windows to accommodate bookshelves inside.
We looked at a lot of different window configurations and settled on this one, but it's not cast in stone. There's
That's for sure.
Functionally, this is probably the one that works the best because it accommodates bookshelves below, but we're open to commentary from you guys. If you think if you'd rather see a different window configuration, then that's certainly possible to change that.
All I'm looking at for your consideration is the in book 2 under our new additions, and it's actually section 2 is new additions, and it's D, which is on page 88. It says that windows in the addition that are visible from the public way should be the same as those of the historic structure. Specifically in the window to wall ratio, should be similar to that of the historic structure.
Okay.
And so it's in the guidelines that way. So that would be something that we certainly would continue to look at.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, we did see that actually, Cindy. We've looked at the guidelines and I know that I am familiar with that particular guideline. So we're happy to get your input. Like I said, the reason we showed the smaller windows is just for a functional reason. So we can certainly change that.
Yeah, well, and while you have designed this for a present day function, in 100 years, who knows what the function will be?
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah, so
Okay, well,
Yeah,
we'll look at alternative window configurations.
Sure.
Not a problem.
yeah. Like Tim said, we did look at some other window configurations. We just didn't share those with you. This is what we decided on with our committee. So we're happy to make revisions.
well, I'm not insisting. I'm saying that's one of the guidelines I think
Sure.
would be consideration.
Sure.
And when you say on that brick veneer, you mean a blonde brick for the building as the
Well, we're looking at brick colors right now. Actually, we're thinking that the hyphen, that area in the middle,
That connector,
might want to be a darker brick.
kind of like the burgundy brick on the burgundy accent brick on the historic library, kind of pick up that color.
Yeah, and then we're thinking of 2, possibly 3 colors of brick on the addition. The existing building has concrete lower walls with a rough stucco texture on the outside, and then a kind of a light brown brick that's got a lot of color variegation above. And we would propose to do something that's kind of a similar range, but we don't want to put stucco on the lower level because it's starting to be too derivative. It's trying to mimic the existing building too much. So we want to keep the same basic concept, but change the materials so that you can tell that it's a newer building. So we're showing us like a soldier course there, like a belt course that's at the same level as the sill of the existing building. That might be that same color as the hyphen, the darker trim, almost like a belt, like a pair of pants on the bottom and a shirt on the top with a belt in the middle. That idea.
But then to go back, Cindy, to your question about blonde brick, yes, we are looking at some like blonde or beige colored brick that is compatible with the color of the brick on the historic library. We've collected a number of samples. We have not shared those with our committee yet. In fact, Tim and I were at the library, I think it was last week, we were looking at some samples. But we have some more and we just need to keep, continue to look at, what we think would be the best choice.
and the current edition used a blonde veneer.
Right.
And we're proposing to remove. We're reconfiguring windows in that wall because now the interior use is different. We're going to be putting new walls and a new door in that facade, and we're proposing to reskin that part of the building with a new colored brick.
Which we were thinking maybe might be that burgundy purpley brick that's on the historic library. It is recessed back. And so that's what we were thinking.
And perhaps the new retaining wall that runs along the street side might be that same color also. We haven't really, looked into it too closely, but we're just kind of looking at options right now and haven't come to any recommendations yet.
And the retaining wall that's out there at the moment is real brick.
It is, and this will be real brick too. By brick veneer, we mean a 4-inch face brick.
Yeah, and that's only on the exterior walls of the addition. The ramp would actually be solid brick masonry.
Right.
Solid masonry. It wouldn't be a brick veneer, it would be solid masonry.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Right, yeah, the retaining wall would be like an 8-inch concrete wall with a 4-inch brick facing on it. And typically that's how all that exterior masonry would be constructed.
So the the front wall isn't solid brick. It's a concrete wall with
With a brick face.
with a brick face.
Yeah, it's
Standard
standard.
construction that, you know, pretty much everything's made this,
You wouldn't see the concrete block. It would be covered or clad
yeah,
with brick on both sides and then with the
With
stone
the
cap.
Right.
Yeah. But it would be solid masonry.
yeah, solid masonry for sure.
When we say brick veneer, we mean it's brick. The wall construction includes steel stud construction. It's kind of, you know, typical construction.
This is wood,
Or wood.
yeah. As opposed to a solid masonry wall like the Georgetown School, which was, you know, 3 or 4 wides of brick, 3 or 4 layers. This would be a wood construction with a brick facing.
Which is just like how the
Existing-
addition that
yeah.
Kathy and Gary designed. It's the same type of construction.
Right.
And what do you see the plaza as being?
We see that as being a high quality concrete, probably.
Right now, it's flag.
It's currently flag. Flag is hard to maintain.
I know all those, yeah, all
I mean-
the stones are kind of, you know, it's down at grade. So this would be different. This would be raised.
We're considering a heated slab as well. So just to minimize maintenance in the winter. You know, there's a boiler that has, we think the existing boiler has sufficient capacity to provide heat to the plaza. We think, we're not sure.
Actually, I think our engineers didn't think there
Oh, okay,
was.
well, maybe, okay, well, then
Anyway.
that might get reconsidered, but
Yeah.
it's easier to shovel a concrete slab. You can get a very nice, high quality concrete that doesn't look like your standard run of the mill concrete. That's much higher quality.
Well, this is where
We're not, you know, again, we're willing to entertain options.
What'd you say, Cindy?
No, I think internally, the DOC has to have some discussion about concrete. Initially, of course, the whole plaza outside on the corner was initially proposed as a pure concrete plaza for the same reasons. I think we're all very pleased that it didn't end up that way.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. Ken, can you put that picture back up one more time? I'm sorry, I was going to wait till everybody was done. And on that last page, on page 4, I wanted to ask Cindy if this actually sort of clarifies your question earlier about the I think it was, does the wall come up to the sidewalk? And so if you look at the bottom picture where the little man standing there, so he's on the sidewalk, and then the actual like retaining wall with a fence on it comes out to the edge of the sidewalk. There's no planter or space or anything there, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So the whole plaza from one end to the other is out all the way to the sidewalk.
Yeah, and I would ask Tim and Chris, did you also read through the historic commercial character area?
Yes.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Because that's where it really talked about, you know, spacing patterns and alignment up and down the street and all those kinds of things. Maintain the alignment of facades at the sidewalk's edge. And that's why, you know, initially the addition to the library didn't have any front wall, but that front wall was put out there in order to create that sense of alignment with the street. And I just was trying to assure that we were not losing that sense of alignment to the street.
Yeah.
No, we're aligning the new retaining wall with the existing wall. And we're aligning the front wall of the addition with the existing front wall of the library.
Not the vestibule.
Not the vestibule that sticks out, but the wall that's recessed back a few feet. The wall that has the 3 windows in it. Those are in exact alignment.
Was there any consideration into changing that brick, maybe to stone, so it breaks up the front of the building? as far as the walkway,
Which, whereabouts?
the front wall. As
Oh,
far-
that wall right there, the front retaining wall?
Yes,
Changing it to stone.
yes.
That would be wonderful if we could afford it. If that's in the budget, I wouldn't have any objections to that.
I think to me, just, it's probably cheaper than brick.
I don't
If you
know.
look at
Not
the
using
courthouses-
brick. I mean, they're just using a brick veneer.
Well, that's,
Right.
they use a veneer stone, just like they used at the courthouse. It's real stone, but it's a veneer.
Yeah.
It's probably more expensive than brick, but, you know,
I guess we were using brick just because we were wanting to work with the existing materials. You know, the existing brick that's already on the library and on the connector. And to provide stone would be kind of introducing a new material.
of course, you could put stucco like that, like on the lower part of the existing wall. Again, you're starting to blur the line between what's historic and what's new when you start duplicating things too closely, you know, to
Well,
what's
that's what you're
already
doing-
there.
That's
But
what you're doing with the brick, though. You're trying to duplicate what's there. And that was never there before they put on the addition. That brick-
right, well, we have to use some material. You know,
We wanted to, I guess we were thinking we wanted to use masonry though, because you see
No, I
that.
agree.
Yeah,
yeah.
Stone's masonry.
I know.
Oh, yeah, yep.
Well, I was
Sure
just
is.
thinking- My thinking was try to create some contrast in between that.
It's a lot of brick.
It's a lot of brick.
Mhm.
I like the idea of stone. I think that would make
And that's fairly typical of the mining era, is that that stone on the bottom portion of buildings, so.
Yeah, we could certainly entertain that. We're not opposed to high quality materials. We're happy with stone. We like using stone. We have a stone cap, right? We're showing a stone cap right now, but
But a sandstone cap,
Mhm.
yes,
Yeah,
sandstone,
probably, or-
either lions or
buff.
possibly buff sandstone.
Maybe, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just haven't really, selected all the materials.
Mhm. I guess we're looking for feedback on the general concept, but as far as materiality goes, we're still kind of trying to figure out what we want to do, but we're welcome. We
We're
love
open to your
getting,
ideas.
yeah, we love getting suggestions. So
Well, I think overall, the concept of the addition is very much in keeping. It also helps sort of, this was a very compact commercial space in Georgetown. It didn't have, great gaps. We've got a wonderful couple of corners of park, and that's nice for our functionality. But this, I think that the idea of addition to this library fits very, very well with sort of helping to fill in even our commercial area. So, I mean, the overall of the concept, and the mass and scale of it as an addition is very much in keeping with the guideline. Yeah, you notice we're not talking about the big issues. We're talking about materials and those kinds of issues because I think this is a much needed and well laid out addition as an addition.
Yeah, I really like the treatment of the plaza space. That really unifies that whole area.
Yeah.
Provide a nice space right in the middle of town there.
So we amongst ourselves at another time are going to be having a discussion about concrete before you come back to us.
Okay.
And it's not a specifically forbidden thing, but there may be some requirements as far as what type or the finished look or something like that. So we'll keep you apprised on that. But other than that, I think everybody's kind of mentioned any concerns or specifics. Anybody else?
No, I think, what I sort of brought up the windows in that one section.
Sure.
And choice of materials on a couple of kinds of things. And you know, overall, it.
Are we headed in the right direction? I guess is the question.
Yes.
I would
I
say.
assume,
absolutely.
Cindy, that you don't care if the lower half of those windows will be covered with bookcases.
No, don't care.
Okay, then it's no problem, because that was the real reason for it, was putting in bookcases. And so, yeah, the lower half will be covered.
Can they just be fake windows on the bottom half?
Well, we would propose that you wouldn't cover
I
the
agree
windows.
with Cindy. Then if the building is not a library in 50
Yeah.
years, yeah, I think, yes, no, I think it's fine.
You know, I think the other thing too is we could change the window proportions, make them more like the library. But we could put bookcases between the windows and maybe even below the windows. You know, those windows are, I think, at about 3 feet above the floor over at the historic library. So I think we would still have space for books below the windows and maybe between them. I think we can
We
make
can
it
work with it. Yeah, we
Yeah.
can work with it.
I think that's up to the people who are going to be occupying that room.
Sure.
Okay. Anybody got any more comments, or I think we kind of covered it?
So what are the next steps? Do you want to see a revised proposal addressing some of your comments?
I'm not sure it needs another preliminary. I think you know what the comments are. And so, you know, if the library is ready to go ahead and do plans, do plans.
Okay, we'll have to, obviously, whatever we do is going to have to fit within the library's budget. So those are the biggest considerations. You know, I'd love to see the whole thing stone if we could. That would be wonderful, but stone's very expensive. So you have to be careful about where you use it, and, you know.
Well,
Mark was, yeah.
Well, I'm glad to hear the word budget.
So when you come back, if there are further adjustments or things like that, that would all be incorporated in our final dealing with you. So you won't have to keep coming back anytime if anything else needs to be changed or adjusted.
Okay.
And Libby, was there anything you wanted to add? We've been doing all the talking, but
You guys covered it so well. I just thank you for your time. We're excited to move this project forward. I think it's been on everybody's docket for at least a decade. So to be checking it off is really rewarding. And yeah, consider the budget. Maybe we can get stone with a bunch of donations.
Okay.
There you go. Have a stone fundraiser. Okay. Well, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Bye.
Okay. And finally, we have Sean Dunbar, 1206 Rose Street. Is Sean with us?
Guys, this is the
Anybody?
whole house, and I am going to disappear at 7:30 promptly.
Okay. Well, let's get going. What time is it?
7:13.
7:13, guys. Gotta hustle or Cindy will abandon us.
Right, it's.
One thing I did
That's
notice was that they don't have any window or door schedule in the set of prints that I could see. So we really don't know what the sizes of the windows are.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything either. I was looking also.
I think we need that. And there isn't a list of materials either.
Did you guys call on me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hey, Sean,
Hey, I'm sorry.
that's okay.
Right whenever you called on me, I walked into the house and lost all connection.
After going through that whole grueling meeting, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so we're looking at your plan. Well, actually, let's start from the beginning. So if you'll state your name and your address, and then you can we're looking at plans for a new house for you.
We are. My name is Sean Dunbar. We're at 1206 Rose Street. We used to live at 1208 Rose Street until we sold that last year and we bought this lot. I previously submitted plans with only a little bit of kind of knowledge, even reading through what was going to be permissible and what would not. And those were rejected. I had this exact same materials for this house as I did for the one that was rejected. And I think I just heard you guys say that it was not received.
I don't have anything, actually.
Goodness. You don't have anything, including the floor plan?
Oh, we have the floor plans, and the elevation, but we have no window schedules or materials.
Okay.
I've got it, sorry. All right. So we're gonna probably need a few more things from you, but shall we make a start and see where we can get?
That'd be great. It's going to be pretty easy to get the materials to you. I don't think when I was rejected before, it was based on materials. It was based on structure and height and setbacks and everything else.
Okay. So Kent's gonna put us up here and we'll just go, you can see our screen?
Yes. Yes,
Okay,
I can.
so if you want to kind of walk us through, we're going to ask you some questions.
Sure. I mean, we're building a 2-story home. We have a lot of kids, which is why we had to sell the house that we previously had because it just was too small. And we have tried to do our level best to abide by the coverage. So we have a pretty small footprint on the first floor. And we have.
Sean, where should I start?
I assume the first floor, but really you guys can start.
Stop.
You can start there.
Yeah.
The site plan first? Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. I'll get to it on mine as well because it's bigger here. And so per this, at least as far as I understand from the previous submittal, we have abided by all of the setbacks and the percentage of coverage.
Can I ask a question? Is the front facade of this house towards Rose Street? I'm pointing to my screen. You can't see it.
It is. Yes, ma'am.
It's facing Rose Street. Is it in line with, because this lot is right between two other structures?
Yes, it
is
is.
basically that front facade in line with those structures?
I believe you'll find that ours is a little bit further back. For some reason, those two structures were allowed to be closer to the road, but I'm actually following the guidelines set forth by Georgetown. So it's a hair behind, maybe between 2 and 5 feet further back.
But it's on the plot plan, it looks slightly cattywampus. Does that?
It is because the sidelines are cattywampus.
Yep.
It's not a perfect rectangle.
No, it's
a
not.
parallelogram. Yeah.
But when we stand out there visually, will we see this house looking slightly tilted back, or will it be sort of in line with the facades we see?
I can't imagine that it would be noticeable to the eye, but I'm open to hear about that. We have, because of the amount of coverage that we have to stay within for our house versus the lot, and because we're building this for our family, we didn't have a whole lot of choice, so we had to go with the side setbacks, and we're pushed up against those versus the front setback, which is in line with the road. That said, I'm pretty sure that 1208 Rose is not set front line to front line either. Again, we had that house for a couple of years, and it's slightly askew like this is, but it's not really noticeable from the street. At least I think it is.
Okay, because that's what I sort of wondered when I stood there and looked at the two houses, because if you had two houses and you're coming in the middle and your house is, because one of the things that we try to it doesn't, you don't need to be absolutely aligned in distance, but
Mhm.
try to have the sense of the house is sort of, one can be back a little further, but it not sort of half.
Sure. Sure. In a, you know, along the whole 52 feet, we're going to be 2 feet difference on one side versus the other as far as it being back. After landscaping, I'm not sure it's going to be seen. Right. Is there any issue with, aside from that potential one, that with the plan laid out for the placement or the coverage?
Are you gonna have a garage?
Unfortunately, there's no room for a garage.
Okay, well, that was my question, because if you were planning
Yes.
on a garage, there's bad news about that.
There's no room.
Yeah, there's no room.
Okay, no, I think we're good.
All right.
Next.
Where to next?
Going.
Elevations will be good if we got
Yeah,
it.
elevations, can't go one more. He's upside down.
Everybody stand on your head.
How's that?
Okay.
And Joan, I was using the mill site residential character area, even though this is actually, I guess, technically it's in a multifamily area. It is a residential property. And it's in a block that is turning into a group of residential properties.
Okay.
So I don't know whether that's appropriate, but I was looking at book 3 and I was starting right there on page 5, or I mean, actually I was on page 7. Which starts with the mass and form.
Okay, section.
Building mass and form, section 1, mass and size. And the new building should be similar in mass and size to neighboring structures. And it is. There's a lot of, there's sort of a couple of 1.5 stories, but there's a 2-story right next door. There are 2 stories across the street. It is in keeping with the general mass and size. And B, maintain the general shape of structures. It does do that. And C, it's within 5 feet of the average height of structures within the immediate neighborhood. And yes, I think if you threw the 300-foot radius, it would be within that range. And D, the facades similar to in dimension to see those seen traditionally, and that's true too. And then I went to building form, which is on page 8, it's section 2. A, the roof, gable, hip, mansard. Way to go.
Thanks.
Oh,
Technical difficulties.
No, I was just.
It disappeared. And C, on page 8, it's the roof forms are similar to those seen traditionally. And on page 9, section 3, the relation to the grid, respecting the town grid. And 9, building orientation, page 9, section 4. Orient a new building parallel to its lot lines. And it's, as he mentioned, as parallel as it potentially can get. When your lot
What was
goes.
the citing on that?
That's 4A.
Okay.
And B, the use of a porch is strongly encouraged, and there is a front porch out there. And then I was flipping to I can't remember, I wrote it down somewhere. To page 73.
How about page 74?
Yeah, what I have on, yeah, page 74 is what I meant, yes.
It's chapter 10.
You know, there's a group of trees, or there's a line of trees that are between you and the house that's just south of you. Does that line of tree get to survive?
I need to double check. I think it does. I mean, I think they do. I think the ones on the right, the big one on the right, I think is spared. And that's really the main one. There's a little bit to the left where the little house is where we used to live.
Yeah, no, I was
and that's, you're talking about the big one? Yeah, I think the big one survives. I will have to double check that though. Again, we're basically going off of what we have for that lot. If for some reason, God forbid, we've got to take it down, we are going to actually have a machine planted larger trees put in if it has to come out because it's in the envelope of the house. But I don't think it is.
Well, when I looked at it, I couldn't decide whether I thought it was sitting right on the property line practically.
Yeah, I think it is, which is why I think it's outside of our kind of where we would be placing the house.
Yeah, and behind it are two cottonwoods that are fairly good size too. I mean, it just makes a nice break between the houses.
Yes, ma'am.
So that is page 74, natural resources, number 1, 4. Protect and enhance existing stands of vegetation. And I don't know if there are any on-site hazards. The backyard dips off pretty quickly.
Yes, over time, over the last 2 houses being constructed, there's been what looks like a lot of dirt and really maybe even debris that's been stacked back there on the back of this lot that we're going to have to, I don't think it's going to fall within the envelope of the home, but we're still going to need to address it one way or the other in order to kind of finish the back end of that lot, but be with landscaping to try to bring it up. It slopes off pretty sharply, but I think some stuff has been added over the last 2 or 3 years. And some of it's timber, so I'm not really sure what's timber and what's dirt back there. It doesn't fall within the envelope of the house, but it will need to be addressed.
And then I got into drainage. Drainage should not have, at first on page 75. And I don't know whether that drains towards the back because there's that hole.
Yes, ma'am, it does. It drains towards the back. There's a crown somewhere near the center of the lot. So there is some that comes towards the street, but the majority of the runoff does go towards the rear, as it does on all of those lots.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's an interesting depression in back.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, well, that one doesn't show
Can't
it.
really see it on that.
And I am going to escape you, so I guess somebody else gets to go through
Okay.
the rest.
Who's got your book open? Thanks, Cindy.
Okay. Sorry, guys.
On page
Thank
75, Joan,
Yes.
did you talk about the drainage at all? Did we decide anything?
We just were talking about that. Apparently there's a lot of some dirt, debris and stuff that's back there. So he's going to have to address that. And I'm assuming the drainage and slope and all the other properties
Right.
drain back towards the back.
How about we use C on page 75, develop a drainage system as landscape. So they do something with the landscaping to help the drainage system. How about that?
Okay.
And that was C, 3C, or yeah, 3C.
Can you define what you mean by that?
Well, you know, you could put some rock back there or landscaping to help your drainage off to the sides. Just develop some kind of landscape or drainage plan that would incorporate some landscaping of some sort.
So just so I'm clear, I want to make sure I'm clear, because I know you guys have probably seen and walked that lot as the other lots. The natural drainage on that lot is very little towards the front, maybe the first, 20 feet. And the vast majority goes straight off the back. And so changing that would be changing the drainage on the lot. Are you asking to change the drainage on the lot?
No, we're not asking to
Okay.
change, perhaps enhance it. What about off the sides of the house? Where's that water going to go?
Exactly where it's going now. We don't intend to do much on the sides of the house, just like the neither of the previous 1208 and the, I guess, 1202 maybe. Those have stayed relatively flat because the natural drainage is to go straight off the rear. If you were to cut swales in between there, you'd be actually changing the drainage, which wouldn't be
We're not
advisable.
suggesting that.
Okay.
Suggesting that.
Our intent is basically that after you have built your house, suddenly all the drainage doesn't run off into the neighbors' lots and that type of thing. So if you're ensuring that the existing drainage, which is consistently to the back, continues after you're done, is what our
But
basic.
The other thing, you're still going to have drainage off the front of the house. And so you're going to have to put some gutters there. And where does that water go to? It's going to go to the side of the house, which is fine, as long as you don't flood out your neighbor. Are you following me on that?
Okay. Yeah, I don't actually see any gutters on either of the new constructions to the left or to the right. I'm happy to put some in, but I had not intended on it. And if
I'm just saying that would be an option to
come
up with your drainage.
Okay.
Or else all that water is going to wash right off to your front door, off that front roof. Am I correct in thinking that way?
Yeah, it was exactly what happened on the house that we had next door as well.
Yeah.
It came onto the porch, and
So if you put
in this
gutter,
case,
downspouts off to the side, you can control that. That would
Sure.
be my suggestion.
okay. Is that a suggestion or is that a requirement? I just need to know so I can add it to what needs to be resubmitted.
It's not a requirement. Well, it should be part of your drainage.
We should really see a landscape and drainage plan, right?
Yep, exactly. So I guess we're going to ask for a landscape and a drainage plan, including that back drainage with maybe some pictures, so everybody's clear about what you're speaking of, okay?
Sure. Let me speak to it real quick. From the landscape, the only landscaping we intend to do is what's noted on there. I guess I didn't put what's on there now, which is in front of the house, 2 areas going towards the street, and the rear, 2 areas going towards the rear. It's a pretty straightforward way that flows. I can change it, but is that what you're asking?
No.
I mean, I can't change the submittal to show those 2 arrows. Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that's what Bob wanted. Am I correct, Bob?
Yeah, that's what we usually, something that gives us an idea of what you're planning for landscape and what the drainage, when you're all done, what the drainage pattern is going to be.
All right, does anybody have any sightings?
Okay, we stopped on page 75.
How about page 77?
Okay,
Uh, We could go with 5A. A1, A2.
A3.
A3. Then I went to page 82, I believe, unless somebody has something in between. And this is lighting. Page 82, it was A, exterior lights should be similar in character and low in density and also conform to dark sky. And probably B, 3B, prevent glare.
You're speaking of exterior lighting only, correct?
That's correct.
yes.
Yeah, I think we have recessed cans that will be actually shielded by the drop beams that are going to be on the headers on the front porch. So you shouldn't be, I think we're in compliance there. And it's a fully covered schoolhouse light at the rear door, which is pointed down and shrouded.
I'll go to page 83. Are you gonna have a parking spot in front since you don't have a garage?
Yes,
With that?
there's room for it. Yes.
Yeah, that should show on your site plan.
All right.
Is that in front or back?
Front. The back is really unusable
Yeah.
because of how that area of town is.
Yes, yes. Okay. So did you have anything on page 83, Mark?
I'm looking right now on 83.
Yeah.
Page 83 would be, well, I had A, avoid parking in the front yard. So we have to define what's the front yard and what's the parking space. So that's what we need on the site plan.
Okay.
It will, can we discuss it just while we're talking so I know what goes on there and find out whether it's going to be an issue? It will absolutely be parked in the front because you can't
Sure.
park
Understood.
in the rear. Is that all right? Okay.
Yes. We just need to know, what we don't want is cars parked in a front yard as in right up against the front porch. So if you define your parking area on your site plan, that would help us.
Okay. It'll be, okay.
What material are you using for the parking area too?
Okay.
Do you know what material are you gonna do gravel?
Oh, I thought you said noted on there. I presume we're going to use crushed rock. I don't think you guys like concrete there. So I think there's going to be
Okay,
crushed rock.
okay,
Is that an acceptable use
yes,
or material? Okay.
yes.
How about the sidewalk? Is the sidewalk the gravel
Crushed.
also?
Either going to be crushed. It probably will be crushed gravel, given that we're going to be using it for the driveway as well.
Okay.
On page 83, Joan, we could just put E, using paving materials that will minimize the impact of the driveway will have on the streetscape, which would include, gravel.
Okay,
So that was just E on 83. And then I went to page 92. Unless somebody has something in between.
May I ask a question before we hit 92? One of you, I think maybe it was Mark, mentioned 77, 5A, 1, 2, and 3. Were there issues with those, or did you just say you would check those off and we didn't have any issues?
Oh, yeah, Mark, you didn't say what those sightings were, I don't think, on page 77. And what
Yeah.
we're doing is going through our sightings and finding everything that pertains to your project that we're basically in agreement with in the book. And
Okay.
so, you know, there's materials and mass and size and all that kind of stuff. So sorry if we always speak up if you want to know what something is. We're just kind
No
of
problem.
cover the bases. So no, that was no
I
problem.
kind of mumble once in a while, so don't be afraid to yell at me.
No problem. I just want to make sure I wasn't directed to change something and I missed what it was. So,
No, we'll
okay.
let you know if we're looking at it. Yeah.
Okay.
So 77, I have 5A, A1, A2, A3.
Yeah, that's what I
There you
had.
go.
Okay, but no problems with those.
Okay.
Now, page 92.
How about page 86 for utilities?
There you go. What do you got, Sean?
How about A, minimize the visual impacts of utilities and service equipment?
The transformer is in place. I don't have any control over that, and it actually is on that lot. Whenever it was placed there by CenturyLink, I guess, or whoever the power company was for 1208, between the two lots, they set it actually on 1206. So there is a low transformer at the front of that site, and it's noted right there on the site plan.
Okay.
We realize you
gonna
don't
plan-
have any control of that, but you could, it also talks about minimizing the visual impacts of vents, exhaust hoods, anything that protrudes out of your roof should be painted the same color, like your vent stacks.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Any
I don't
of
intend
that.
to have any
Okay, so-
stacks facing the front whatsoever.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
That's what, on one set of plans I had, it shows that fireplace chimney. Is that gone? A chimney?
There's a chimney, but it's on the rear of the home.
Okay, is that
If you
just
look
for a
at the
direct
front
vent?
elevation of the home, you can see it.
And
Is
what
that
is that?
just for a direct vent fireplace?
It's not a direct vent fireplace. It's a wood burning fireplace.
Oh, okay. That was my
Yes.
question. I understand now. Okay.
Yeah.
You're cool.
That's why it's 2 feet above the ridge.
Yep.
Okay. It's I'm sorry, I think whoever I've dealt with knows this, but I am a builder here for 30 years in Texas. And so when you said utilities, I thought you meant like water and electric. I didn't know you meant roof jacks and stuff like that.
No, it does include that too, but those are
Yeah.
already in there before you know.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Well,
that's not an issue.
Sometimes someone with a big air conditioning unit or something, we don't want that like on the front of your house, sitting right there, or we'd like a screen of some sort around it. So we just don't want your own personal utilities, you know, being very apparent if it's possible.
Yes, ma'am. There will be, actually, there won't be a unit on this one. So nothing's going to be visible beyond what's
Right.
shown there.
All right, great.
And we won't hold it against you if you're a builder from Texas, okay?
Thanks.
Okay. We'll let that slide. Okay, I have page 92 unless somebody has anything else. And that's chapter 12. Talks about architectural character. A1 and B.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything on 92?
And for clarity, are we saying that all of those are in compliance? There's no issues?
Yes, we're talking about your design,
Okay.
the architectural features of the house.
You want directional emphasis?
Sure.
A, building should have a vertical emphasis. And it appears to have it.
Is that on
That's
92?
92, section 2,
Okay.
A.
Yeah, we
Hey.
certainly have a greater pitch than either house to the left or to the right, if that's what you mean, the pitch of the roof.
Just the whole appearance with the windows and
Okay. Our windows are as tall as they can be per code, and because I can't get too close to the floor. And then I think we got the roof pitch as high as we can get it as well, and still in keeping with the requirements you guys have for height, understandably.
How tall are your doors?
8 foot.
8 foot. They appear tall.
Yep, we have a problem with 8-foot doors.
Yep.
Do you?
We just went through. that.
You don't
That's why
like, you
we
really
need
don't
doors.
like, do you really not like 8 foot doors?
Like,
Say again? I didn't hear you.
we had well, I'm trying to think of a proper answer.
Okay.
Not to offend you, okay?
Okay.
I'll let the rest of the group comment on the 8-foot doors. Bob?
Oh, we went through this on, the last meeting we had. That I think the only ones that we wound up accepting were down in a, walkout basement situation that would be basically not visible.
Yeah.
All the others got reduced to standard.
Well, we also on that conversation discussed a 6 to 8 or so door with a transom over it. So if
That's
you
true.
like the height or you want the extra added light, you can have the transom, but the door itself is shorter.
That's right. We did.
Yes.
Basically takes up.
Historically, we don't have any 8-foot doors in town, or I shouldn't say in historic buildings, we don't. So.
Yeah.
Well, even I think
Transom above the door might work.
all the stuff we've seen over the last 2 or 3 years, I don't recall seeing any 8-foot doors other than maybe in a commercial application.
Right. So we may have to revisit that one. That's why we kind of like to have a complete door and window schedule, so we can tell how big your windows are and how wide they are.
Sorry, I did note it. It actually says right there 3080 door on the floor plan, as well as the window sizes are on the plan.
Yeah.
But I didn't do it on a separate piece of paper. I'll do it on a separate area for you. And this is strictly for exterior doors.
That's
I'm
correct. We
assuming.
don't have anything to say about interior doors.
Yes. Yes.
I think that's going to interfere with the way that my windows look, but it sounds like that's a hard no for the city on 8-foot doors. So
Well,
it's
like
going
we
to
were
look
saying,
silly
you could put a
to drop.
transom- You could put a transom above that door and it would match up at the top of your windows.
You could. It certainly doesn't go with the look I'm trying to go with the divider on the top, but not on the bottom. I'm trying to keep all those headers in line. If I put a transom above it, it's only 12 inches, then putting a cross member vertically in it kind of looks silly. Whenever I reconfigure, I guess I can shorten all the windows so all the headers are 6'8" versus 8 feet.
What is your window size like on the front? Underneath that
Let me
porch?
look at the plan. The plan says our windows are 3 foot by 6 foot.
Well, see, traditionally, most of our windows in town are 5-footers.
Yes, they are. Those are kind of squatty looking, which is why I went with nicer, kind of to the question that started, which is vertical scale, like to have them look nicer. But I can go with 3 foot by 5 foot windows and a 6'8" door.
Or 7, right? Do a 7-foot door?
No,
No.
at least not unless you want to have a specialty door.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a 3 foot by 6'8".
Okay.
And so I'll change those.
Sean Platt, what's your opinion?
I think if you went with the transom, I think that would be all right.
And then what about the window size?
I'm sorry?
What about the window size? Window size?
I don't know. I think the windows are okay the way they are.
Except that if you go with a 6'8" door,
But if he goes with a 6'8" door, they might appear a little tall.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and change them. I don't want to put a 6'8" door with a transom and then have the windows stay 6 feet. I'll either do a 6'8" door to comply in 5-foot windows, or if you guys would allow, I'll do a 308 door with 6-foot windows. I think it looks better. But again, I want to make sure I'm in keeping with what the city wants. I do agree on
308
something.
door is just too tall.
Okay, I'll change them to 3068 with 5-foot windows. Second floor already has 5-foot windows because it's a shorter roof or ceiling.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Where do we leave off, Joan? We on
Page
92?
page 92, I got
92.
A1 and B.
Okay. How about, anybody see anything on 93? What are you using for windows? What kind of material?
A composite window,
Okay.
single hung composite.
Meaning
How about-
fiberglass or vinyl?
I like vinyl. I'll probably lean towards vinyl.
We've been pushing the fiberglass and trying to get people away from the vinyls because we've had problems with vinyl up here. Which, you know, like a
What
true
problems have
wood-
you had with a true vinyl low E cubed window?
Discoloration, cracking, length of life. UVs really eat up the vinyl up here. If you want to use them, we can't, we just discourage it. How about that? That's what we're saying.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know the houses to the left and the right of this one are vinyl because they were in my house as well. But I will
We
look
told
into
them the
that.
same thing.
I'll
I told them the
look
same
into that
thing.
before I give you a materials list.
Okay,
Okay.
that's fine. 93, windows, doors, and openings. A, windows and door openings should correspond to the overall direction and emphasis of the structure. B, metal fiberglass vinyl clad windows and doors should be of a matte finish, non-reflective. I think that's it on 93, unless somebody has something.
If I submit paint colors, can it be understood that they're going to be non-reflective, or do I need to say they're non-reflective?
Just non-reflective. We can't tell you what color to paint things.
You don't have to submit paint colors.
No, please don't.
Oh. Okay,
How about that? Go crazy.
great. That is funny. Given the other requirements, understandably,
I
I'm
see.
surprised that that's not one of them.
Okay, page 94.
Mhm.
A, use of a porch or balcony or an awning is encouraged, which he's doing, okay?
Give me the number.
Page 94, A,
Okay.
A1 size and style porch.
But the biggest porch I could put on
A2.
there, given their size.
Yeah.
Nice porch.
A2. Porch or balcony should use similar materials.
It'd be wood floor.
You can do that or a composite. We don't care about that.
Okay.
On the floor.
Right.
That's it for 94 unless somebody sees something else.
No.
Okay, then we're going to building materials. We're going to page 96. And we go down A. What are you doing for siding?
Hardy.
Okay.
Actually,
And what
it's
is your-
sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was saying we're going to use a zip panel system first, and then the
Sure.
hardy on top of it. Yeah.
Okay, all right. And what's your exposure on your siding?
It's board and
Lap.
batten. So the lap is going to be, I believe it's 5 1/4, the thinner,
Okay.
so make it look older. And then the board and batten, I believe, is, I think it's 10 inches between the batten strips.
Joan, it is 1A, appropriate wood materials including horizontal lap siding.
Okay.
C, the newer synthetic material may be considered, so that'd be the hardy.
Okay.
And that would be C, C1, C2. How much foundation are you going to show?
Just go in there.
I think it's going to be right at 12 inches, between 12 and 14 inches. Yeah.
Is that concrete? Or are you using insulated block? What are you doing?
It's going to be insulated block, like the houses on the left and the right.
Okay. If you could just put some metal clad on that,
Okay.
cover it. That's what we're suggesting, right?
Okay.
And that would be E, exposed foundation walls. Should have a max, it would be 1. Maximum of 12 inches of exposure.
Okay. Shouldn't be a problem. And I'll note it on the next plan.
Not a problem. And then, of course, page 97, roof materials. You're just doing composite shingles.
Yes, sir.
And what we recommend is going with the 50-year now.
The one I use is a GAF lifetime, which is equivalent to a 50-year.
50-year.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
You won't be sorry.
Yeah.
I don't use anything else unless it's metal.
So Joan, it'd be 2A, roof material should appear similar to those used traditionally. So that works. Then we're going to go C, gutters and downspouts are appropriate if painted to match structure. That's 97.
Okay.
And I think that's all I have.
Okay. So what I had noted as we were talking about things were things that we would like to see, and this doesn't mean you have to start over, but we would still like to see a landscape plan for how the finished yard and things are going to be proposed, and to include drainage. So if it becomes necessary to do much with the drainage, we just want to make sure your house doesn't sit in a puddle and all your water doesn't run off into the neighbors' houses. So if you need to address that, we need to see the plan. We'd like your parking spot, where you're going to gravel in for a parking place noted on the plan. And then we're changing that 8-foot front door.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it was not required to change the windows as far as we were concerned. If you choose to do that, that's up to you. But anyway, so those were just the 4 things we would need going down in the future. We don't need any materials. We know what everything is. Correct, Mark?
Okay.
Mark.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else have anything?
May I ask, do I just resend this to you, these 4 items to you? And if so, in the same format I did before, what's next?
So actually, I was just going to see I think if we're ready to take a vote, because we've noted a few stipulations of things we still need to see, but basically we've gone through your whole plan here.
Okay.
So if we take a vote and it's approved, then with these 4 things, you would need to get back to us. You can send it to the next meeting or whenever you have it ready so that we can see it, but it's not going to hold up your plans at this point.
Gotcha.
Joan, I have one quickie, and then I'll leave everybody alone. Door and window trim. What's the size of the trim around the doors and windows in your corner trim? Is it 1x4, 1x6?
Yeah, it's 1x4.
Okay.
Hardy 1x4. Mm-hmm.
I did see that on the plan too. So that's not going to be a stipulation then. Okay. All right. Well,
You
anybody have
might think about making your corners just a little bit big, or
They're
like go to.
they're gonna appear bigger because of, at least on one profile, it'll look like 6.
There you go.
And on,
Okay.
yeah, and the other profile will look like 4.
Okay, I'm good with it.
All right, anybody else? Can I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve with the stipulations stated.
Okay,
I'll second.
is there any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? All right. So you have your 4 little things just to, send us, that's probably mostly all on just your site plan to let us know going forward. And then you're just back talking to Ken about a permit.
Very good. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see you.
You.
Okay, guys. I don't remember his other plans, do you?
No.
We just said no way. How we are. Okay. Let me finish what I'm doing before I try to talk.
Hey, just a quick question to the group, real quick.
Yeah.
What were your feelings about the library plan? Did you think that was too much brick across the front?
It's a lot of brick.
It's a lot of brick.
I just see some stone go in there. I think there's way too much brick.
I think it's gonna change the look of the library with that much brick. I mean, it's just gonna look like this blob instead
Yeah.
of. trying
Well, and I was
accent-
going to say we don't have many brick buildings, but we don't have many long brick buildings.
Even if you
They're
want
tall.
some other siding material for the addition. It doesn't have to be, brick or stone, or it could be,
All
it
the way
could be
around.
That's a great idea. They could cut down their expense by not bricking all of that.
Yeah.
Especially the rear elevations
Yeah.
on the side facing the community center.
Yeah.
I think on the back of it, there's lap siding.
Is there?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
And,
get
and
a chance to look at
especially,
it again.
yeah, especially having that like retaining wall out on the street being brick as well. Then it's just like layers of brick. Yeah, it's a lot of brick. And just Cindy's not here, but case in point, she has sent out an email about the concrete that we have approved a couple of times lately for driveways and sidewalks, and those were on new construction over, well, I think you are all there. We did ask them to stain it, which I think is more important than the exposed aggregate. I'm feeling like exposed aggregate on your driveway just kind of, doesn't it just crumble after a while? Doesn't it get looking crummy or
Well,
not?
I mean, I think if you run a snow blower across, it's gonna break it up,
yeah, but at least you won't be spitting rocks out all over the place.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Gravel does wonders for your snow blower.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh.
Well, I'm
I
just.
say we revisit that when Cindy's here and everybody kind of take a look around. I'm not exposed to aggregate on anything, but I'm thinking like down in the new section of town, what's the big deal down there? I mean, I can see it in the historic part of town.
Yeah.
Just have people do their concrete at this end of town stained.
Yeah, I think if it's brushed, so it's not shiny, slick.
What about stamped concrete?
Well, we had 2 failures with that.
I mean, I'm thinking for the plaza on the surface for the plaza at the library.
Yeah, I don't want to see that just concrete, just plain. I'd like to see it stamped.
I'm not, I mean, I know everybody's a big fan of the flagstone stuff, but it's a pain to manage, and it breaks.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the stamped could resemble it even.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. It would be a whole lot more serviceable.
Yeah.
I think that's something we have to revisit. They've always been against stamped concrete, but with the new quality of stamps and the patterns they're using, maybe it'd work. I think
you have a hard time figuring out.
It'd be worth visiting. But if it's on a historical structure, that might be an issue. I mean, as far as the south front, but like in the back section where you're not gonna see it, I mean, I don't know. That's something we're gonna have to talk about.
I think we probably need a discussion on, new materials going forward. And what,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
draw the line.
Well, I know there's been two issues, one right on Mitchell's house here on the corner from my house, where they did not have permission to put a concrete driveway, but yet lo and behold, they dashed right in one day and did it. Nobody could stop them, or nobody was there. And so we didn't get them, and they were supposed to go back and retroactively stain it or stamp it or something, and they never did that either. So there's one right here, on Rose Street. And then, of course, 1600, which I didn't want to bring that up tonight.
There was also one on Clear Creek Drive too.
Yeah, and I'm thinking getting down there, especially where your lots have more elevation, and we've discussed this about the findings and everything else. You have to do something a little more. Once you get on the hillsides and that have those kind of issues, we're going to have to figure out something, especially when it's new construction too. I mean, a historic house with a big old concrete driveway is not happy, but we'll see what we can do. Hey, I wanted to ask everybody real quick. Kevin Geharick sent an email to Jen today, and she just asked me, and the Hotel Des Prix is wanting to put some security cameras up, and he wanted to know if he needed to come and see us about that. And my thought is no, because that's, if the museum needs security cameras, I don't see how we could possibly say much about it. I didn't tell her that was the definitive answer because I did want to check, but that's never been anything we had control over before. What do you think?
I really don't have a thought on that.
Yeah, no.
Anybody?
We let the courthouse.
I said
do
if
it.
there was some kind of lighting, it needed to be, appropriate, but I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would expect the cameras are going to be small and you probably wouldn't even notice them.
Yeah. Okay.
And I wouldn't want the cameras to be identified where they are
Yeah.
in a plan for the DRs,
Right.
that would kind of defeat the purpose of the security cameras. So,
Well, if they're inside, we got nothing to say about it. But if they're outside, they'll be hidden well enough so people are, I don't know. But I just didn't feel like that was within what we.
I would just make one comment, just ask them to be careful where they run their cable, their wiring and so forth, so it isn't so obvious or whatever,
Right. Okay. All right. Well, I will let Jen know that was kind of the group consensus on that too. So the section 106 has a webinar on May the 4th. I think everybody got an email today about it, or maybe yesterday even. I got one. So if you didn't, let us know, and that's something that you can.
Yeah, I don't know that I received it.
Okay, I'll go back and see where it is, but I think Jen sent it out. So
I got it.
my emails just are getting buried lately. I'm getting so much stuff. So, okay. We got some minutes from April the 8th. Anybody see anything?
I didn't have anything.
To me.
Okay, can I hear a motion then?
Move that we accept or approve the minutes from the April 8th meeting as submitted.
Do your second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Cool. Nobody else has anything, then we will dismiss. Adjourn.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks.
All right, good night.
Thanks.
Thanks for the fun. Let's do fences every week.
Oh,
Yeah, with people that have already built it and want to argue. That was a good time. All right, I think it went okay.
Yep, I agree.
Bye.